Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Attack on Productions. Today I am Bancroft, being joined once again by Jake, and like always, Fluff.
What's going on, y'all?
What's up, beautiful people?
And today we have our Jake's second round of the RPO tournament, which is the Rising Phoenix Odyssey tournament, that a bunch of YouTubers get together. And it's just a bunch of fun games. Jake, your opponent this time around was Super Shy Guy from Team Nimbus, I think.
Yes.
Which I've actually played him in the very first time we did this tournament. Pretty cool guy. But it looks like you've brought Soul Striker, and if I'm correct, it is the Tapion version.
Yeah.
And he's bringing out the Xeno Syn Shenron.
An interesting black deck that I don't have much experience against. Although I do think this is the final game of our meeting.
So, like always, there's buttons down below. Feel free to click them. Let's get into this. So, you didn't know much about this deck going into it?
No, I mean, we covered it somewhat on the channel, and in this game, I had knowledge from the previous game we played, but I was still kind of worried that he could potentially mill me out because Soul Striker does have the capability to draw so many cards, especially with the Tapion variant. So I felt like I kind of had to put the hurting on quickly. But the problem is that with the leader having blocker and the unison really being the ticking time bomb, you really have to plan out your turns in a unique way when you go up against Black Shenron. It's not incredibly difficult to do, but you do have to keep it in mind at all times.
One of the kind of crux positions of being a black deck right now, just generally, especially something like Shadow Dragons, is that the deck is not super defensive. You know, you think about black defensive and you think Hatchiyak, but Hatchiyak has a, basically attack gating built into it. This deck doesn't really have anything, and the Shadow Dragon archetype itself right now, there's so much variability in what could potentially go into the deck. I don't know if he's playing pure Shadow Dragons or if there's a Gogeta variant to this, but if you want to go for the mill strategy, which I assume is going to be his strategy, then he's going to have to lean heavily on stuff like Oceanus. He's going to have to lean heavily on the extra cards, which is the Unison. But if he's doing those things, he's not spending his energy pressuring or advancing the game state. And I find a lot of people pressure the Toa a lot in this match because, like you said, it has the potential to be a ticking time bomb. But where the deck itself is not very defensive, if you don't swing into the Unison doesn't accrue a lot of markers because the Shenron itself gives it a marker when it activates blocker. So if you just swing into the leader and don't give them the opportunity to give it, they'll kill their own Unison through Spirit Boost.
And that's what I kind of figured out over the course of our match. The more I swung at the Unison, the bigger of a problem it was. So I was like, screw it, I'm just going to attack the leader.
Yeah.
But you mentioned earlier how if he holds back and goes for the mill strategy, he can't really apply a lot of pressure. The first card he milled off the top of my deck was a 3-drop Unison. So if he can prevent me from awakening altogether this game just by not attacking and milling me out, leaving me at like 5 or 6 life, there's a chance that not pressuring me is like the perfect strategy he can go for.
Absolutely.
And being afraid of that, I went ahead and hard cast this Xeno just so I could try and draw into a 3-drop Unison so I don't get stuck on my front side for the entire game.
Yeah. I love that versatility on the Xeno, just being able to tap one and put it out. And there are times that I've like played that Xeno and then swung with it to either kill a Unison or apply pressure on the lead. Just because it does have that, at the very least, it's a pay one, draw one. It's one of the more versatile super combos, I think. And I would really like for them to start going for super combo styles like that. or maybe they have the typical super combo effect, but then they have on-play effects as well. They kind of add another layer of dimension to possibilities within the game.
They experimented with that a little bit with the slug super combo from the
Yeah.
anniversary box a while back.
Yep.
But they really haven't done much else in that way. I think that would be really interesting if they experimented more in that design space.
Yeah, we saw like in set 10. Yeah, or yes. Is it set 10?
Yeah.
The Gohan?
Set 10.
Goten?
Yeah, is it a Goten super combo?
Yeah, the yellow Goten.
That can pop a card.
Yeah.
If it's in rest mode. And then the Vegeta that can play itself to your opponent drop a card. And I don't remember what the red one is. I think
isn't that one the Bulma?
it is a Bulma, but doesn't it play
if you and your opponent have a total of 8 life together, and it's your turn when you come with it, you also get the draw, but then you can play, I think it's a 1-drop battle card from your hand.
It's a 1-drop red Earthling, I think.
Yes, red Earthling, yes.
Yeah, see, I really like those super combos in set 10, even though they're maybe outclassed a little bit by the super combos out of set 11. I just like that versatility there.
Man, I honestly think Edge of Space should be in every blue deck, at least at a 2-of.
Yeah, especially if you're ever doing any randomized charging.
Yeah.
If you're doing any form of randomized charging, it should be in there, which I thoroughly agree with.
So he's doing a really good job here of just playing out his Oceanuses, using his spells to mill me, not pressuring my life at all, and really keeping me from really doing much of anything until I get to 4 energy. And if he can hold on from there and really get the mill engine going, there's no telling what'll happen.
What I find really interesting about Shadow Dragons is while they're a mill deck, they mill themselves out as fast or faster than they mill.
Yeah.
So they really rely heavily on their unison to put their extra cards back into the deck after a certain point, so that they don't effectively mill themselves out faster than they can mill you out.
Right. And he was doing a lot of that, which really encouraged me to not attack the unison further. Because he, like you said, he was just spending markers to put extra cards on the bottom of his deck, which we're seeing here, I think. Oh no, he's searching right now.
Yeah, I think it's actually a +1 to put the markers on the unit to get the 3 back in. It's the big minus that plays up to 7 Shadow Dragons from your drop area, which has the potential to get... I don't know that it gets out of hand in this deck, because a lot of the Shadow Dragons available currently are not that relevant as far as...
like battle power?
Battle power and on-field effects. Really what I think that would be is that could be equivalent to a +7 in hand advantage. Because when they would play them, most of them would get their revealed top card if it's a Shadow Dragon added to hand, otherwise place it at the bottom of the deck.
Yeah.
So that's a way to essentially draw 7 cards, up to 7 cards.
Yeah, not bad.
And you got the 19K crit though. You have the is it double strike 20K for the 4-drop. And if you're playing the 8-drop secret rare, they could be some pretty nasty cards though.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some pretty decent Shadow Dragons out there that Black has access to.
The 4-drop double strike dual attack, it's the double strike blocker. That card is fantastic. And I suspect once we get the rest of the Shadow Dragon archetype for Black, that it has the potential to be a really strong contender. So even though the deck's not what I would call, it's probably a really solid tier 2, tier 2.5 deck right now. It's nowhere near, the top tier slots. It has the potential to grow into something more in the future.
I would agree with that.
So we see here you got the Unison out, but it's not the 3-drop, unfortunately.
Right. He's done a good job of milling most of them to my drop area. So here, instead of drawing cards, I opt to just untap the energy on the leader swing. It's going to pressure his leader further with this Unison and go into his turn 4 with a couple open energy and 5 life. I forgot Oceanus can block.
Why do you... Oh, I guess he was afraid of you comboing pretty high. But getting that Unison to 6 markers might have been smarter to do. Especially if he had another one in his hand. He could have just went ahead and proc a potential 7 by discarding a bunch of... comboing off a bunch of cards, just put them in the drop area, you know?
Maybe. I did swing at the leader, so he couldn't like block with the.
Oh, that's why then. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So he didn't want to go to 3.
That makes sense. I don't know what I was thinking. I was like, you swung to use it. You know, earlier you said it like you're not doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really not even worth trying to get over that Unison just because it acquires more markers. And I, as someone who's played the Shadow Dragons, if your opponent's swinging constantly at your leader, that's kind of the last thing that you want. You really want them to try to get in it to Unison. It almost becomes like a smoke and mirror, so it reduces the clock on which your opponent has to actually take out your leader. So it's very similar to Gogeta and Pycon or Gogeta and Mira, where, just swing into the lead, pressure the lead. Eventually, they'll run out of defensive cards.
Was there a black battle card that I think set 5 or 6 that if in rest mode your opponent has to attack it with their leader?
Yeah, Deadly Defender Son Goku.
Yeah,
the Deadly Defender.
I mean,
Deadly Defender Goku would go extremely well in this deck if there was ever an easier way to play him out.
Yeah, you would have to hard cast it.
Yeah. And off the top of my head, I can't think of anything. And it's really dangerous, even in our slower meta right now, to tap out at turn 3 to play a Deadly Defender. So it looks like he's got you to 4, or you've gotten yourself to 4. He's still sitting at 5. What is your game plan moving forward?
So from here on out, I could awaken, start untapping 2 energy every turn. I've got the extra untap from the Boo Unison. This is exactly where I want to be going into turn 5 as Soul Striker. This deck has access to Golden Great Ape, so if he attempts to Oceanus, then I can counter there and really heavily punish with 5 energy and then swing with the lead and untap and be defensive as well. It's just, I'm feeling pretty good about my position in the game currently, even though I'm at a life disadvantage.
Yep. And this deck really, if it wants to mill you aggressively, it's going to have to spend its energy. Even though it does get, I think it can get up to 2 free extra cards per turn. Because I think the 4-drop, well, I guess if it's also running the promo 1-drop, it could get up to 3 free extra cards. But that's 3 markers off of a Unison every turn.
Yeah.
So, so unless he's going to put energy in, he's not going to be able to mill you very fast. And it's much more efficient to mill with something like Cooler that kind of just does naturally what Cooler wants to do while controlling the field. Whereas the Shadow Dragon stuff doesn't have the greatest impact on the field. So it's kind of trying to do what it wants to do independent of what the leader is trying to do and relying on Oceanus to do a greater part of the heavy lifting, I would say.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah, there was the exact scenario we described, countering the Oceanus with the ape, sending the other card to the bottom of his deck, drawing 1 for my trouble, and now he's got to defend this triple striker and my leader with 1 open energy.
And that, honestly, that move right there is probably enough to turn this game completely in your favor.
Oh, yeah.
Just losing that Oceanus, having to bottom deck it,
Well, Oceanus
is
went to the drop. He bottom deck, I think, a Haze.
Yeah, it was a haste.
so the Oceanus goes to the drop, another card goes to the bottom. So
Yeah.
yeah, he just lost the Oceanus. And he doesn't get the card to replace her either, because it's not discarded, right? By effect. So he shouldn't be able to get the reveal top, add a Shadow Dragon to hand it if it's a Shadow Dragon.
Yeah,
I don't believe.
he did not, because it never came into play. What he did there was did the
Activate battle.
yeah, to opt me to remove a marker from my unison.
I think it's 2 markers, and
Yeah, it was.
but if you don't, you can't do any more attacks. I think it's something like that.
If I don't, I can only attack one more time. So I choose not to, and then he petrifies the ape on my leader's swing. It was just a great way to get out of that tough situation I put him in.
Yeah,
that was very, very smart on his part. And now
yeah.
you're going into end of your turn with 2 energy, and if you pass, you have 3 energy to defend yourself now.
But just 1 marker left on my unison, so I can't God Seal anything that he plays on his turn.
You got 2 markers.
Oh, I have 2. Okay.
Was this game recorded before or after the ruling update for cards like Petrification?
After.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, Petrification was already a good card. And now Petrification fills a slot in the game that no other card really competes with.
It's great. It's a great card all around for black decks, because they very often want cards in the drop area. And part of Petrification's secondary effect requires you to discard 1.
Yep. It's such a perfect tool for black decks. And it's one of those cards that I don't think it's overtuned by any stretch. I think it just provides a very it's got a very niche use and unique usage that is interesting, that black has that unique tool available to it.
So you pulled back that same extra card from earlier that ripped 2 markers from your unison. And if correct, I know it's activate battle, but it's also activate main, I think, right?
I think so.
Yeah. All the extra cards are activate battle, activate main, unless they're counters of some kind. And I've been saying this archetype specifically really needs a counterattack, and it needs a classic counterplay. Even if it's a counterplay that only hits energy cost 3 or less. And locked to the Shadow Dragon leader. Just return it to hand or place in drop area instead of being played. It needs cards like that accomplish the same milling while also letting the Shenron deck selectively interact with the board. Because, like Jake said, he could either remove 2 markers from his unison, or he only had 1 more attack that turn.
I don't know. I felt like, unless, I mean, it would just bait another negate, but swing with the unison, and then just activating battle, either baiting for a negate, or just activate battle to remove the unison, unless it affects only during your opponent's turn.
I'll have
to look it
on
up.
on the extra card.
Yeah.
So you can activate it during either player's turn.
Yeah.
Right. So he could have activated it in his turn to basically. You know what? I said that, and it might be during your opponent's turn. Now that I'm thinking about it, keep discussing outlook.
So
maybe
bouncing Oceanus is actually incredible because it still negates the attack, but Oceanus' effect, unlike the Topo, which is part of the count, it's also on play. So because the effect's on play, you can still freely swing without to worry about mill anything.
Yeah. And there I was just trying to bait something out. Honestly, I'm kind of trying not to end the game the exact way I did the way before, and I just don't see a safe way to do it here. I'm like trying to think, and we'll see in a second.
Well, say
how this contest comes to a close.
Oh,
he still has 3 energy. Yes.
So ultimate dragon tackle, I'm assuming, is what he used, or did he use the counterplay?
It was the extra card. We're talking about the extra card
Slang-
right now.
Right, that's what I'm. Was it the slang bullet or
I
dragon?
think
tackle?
it's the
It's not Slaying
Dragon
Bullet.
Whirlwind, maybe? A Slaying Bullet removes markers too.
It kind of looks like an armadillo, if I'm correct.
That's Dragon Tackle.
So dragon tackle. So if your opponent has a unison in play, your opponent places the top card of their deck in the drop area. Your opponent may choose one of their unison cards or remove 2 markers from it. If they don't, draw 1 card, then choose one of your opponent's battle cards and send it to the warp. So it is perfectly applicable to activate that during either turn. And where Jake only had the ape on the field, it pretty much means that Jake will either have to get rid of the ape or the unison if he were to activate that on his turn again.
Gotcha. And here Jake went ahead and played food, which is probably the best that you could have done, knowing that he still had 3 open energy just to counter attack again.
Yeah. And him milling me just really makes this play possible. He did a good job of like denying my plays early in the game, and had he not been milling me, I probably wouldn't have had 10 cards in the drop area.
Yeah, it's kind of like he helped you into that, honestly.
Managed to survive the attack, and that's mainly because you boosted. Oh, sorry, you still have lead that time.
Yeah, just to then double beam to untap more energy and go into Obuni.
And the real dangerous part about this too is now he can't activate any skills to put to activate extra cards to make Jake mill. And this is effectively game. I can't think of anything that the Shadow Dragon player can do to get out at this situation, because the leader doesn't have any negates, can't activate any extra cards, he can't super combo, he can't really do anything. It just comes down to sequencing. Can Jake push in such a way? And there you see the scoop.
Yeah.
We had 3 life left, and he was like, I'm going to attack with this, and that was game, yeah. So, kudos, congratulations, Jake. You're moving on up. Hopefully, you'll meet either me or Fluff in the finals. Well, you'll meet one of us sooner than later, because me and Fluff are playing next.
Yeah, I was down here in the losers bracket.
So, as a reminder, this is the double elimination tournament. So, those who lose go to a different bracket and work their way back up to potentially get one last shot at winning the whole thing.
Yep.
Like I said, me and Fluff are playing next, so we'll see what happens there. And maybe Jake will see us sooner than he thinks.
Maybe.
Made.
With that being said, thank you all for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to check out Team Nimbus as well. They're a bunch of great guys. And I guess with that being said, keep in mind, while Fluff does the outro, there's buttons on the screen.
Yeah, click on one of the 4 videos here. Let us know what you think. Leave a comment, subscribe. If there's anything that you want to see us do, let us know. We had been testing really rigorously for Gen Con. We're kind of past Gen Con at this moment, so we are going to start working on more of the requested type stuff. So feel free to let us know. As always, reach cards, know your plays. Let us make the mistakes so that you don't have to. And as always, fluff out.